I know that parents today are struggling more than ever before.
This is where I really struggle with it.
I want you to go downstairs. Don't force me.
They're confused by contradictory advice.
But I'm talking to you.
Worried that other parents are doing better.
Shut up.
And yet the majority agree it's a tougher job than they ever imagined.
Smash it.
But if parents don't make changes now, the consequences for their children will be enormous.
Die.
So that's why this year I'm stepping up my game. I'm offering more help to more parents, tackling more parental issues.
I'm willing to do anything it takes. I just can't live this life anymore.
I'm still going to be visiting the homes of families
Who are really struggling.
You will not tolerate being treated like that. Like, get out there and take charge.
But I'm also hitting the road with advice for all on the parenting problems everyone faces.
If you can trust me for 5 days, you will have this nipped in the bud.
49 minutes a day. That's all the quality time the average kid gets with their mum and dad. Parents, this is your wake-up call.
What do you think this actual video is about, though?
Child abuse.
Do you think it's about child abuse?
Neglect.
I'll show you the small changes that'll make a huge difference.
I've a lot of work to do, but I'm not shy of hard work.
Coming up, Joe Frost tries to bring a young superhero failing at school back to the real world.
If the basics don't click in, the reading, the writing, it could hold him back for years.
But first, Joe's dropped everything to answer the call of a mum who's bruised, battered and defeated by her 6-year-old son.
Put your legs down and just stand, otherwise you're going to move, darling. My son Jack is 6, and I've been struggling with his bedtime pretty much since birth. It's 8:30, sweetheart, and it's bedtime. He's never been able to just go into bed on his own. Even now I have to lie with him to get him to sleep, or I just deal with like the kicking and the punching. Jack, that is enough.
Nikki spends her evenings battling to get Jack into bed. It's often 1 a.m. before he's finally asleep.
I get really, really angry and then I fight with my mum.
I actually have to shut myself away in the room from him because he is so aggressive. Now, I suggest you mind your fingers.
Stupid mum!
I'm not winning. I'm not getting him into bed. I'm not actually getting him into bed, and it's just creating bedtime as an absolute nightmare. Joe is probably my last chance in my eyes. I don't know how to deal with the situation, so it would be everything to me to try and sort it out. Don't you need to come out of here because this bathroom floor is really slippery.
Nikki dreads Jack's bedtime, and the nightly battles are leaving her exhausted.
I feel like I've lost him. I don't feel like he's my little boy. I love him to bits, but sometimes I hate him. I hate him for making me feel like this.
I'm actually going round to see a mum right now who has a 6-year-old little boy who she's petrified of. Something's got to be going on during the day because it doesn't weigh up for me that this boy only kicks off during the night time. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Joe, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? This is Phoebe.
Hi, Phoebe. How you doing, love?
And this is Jack.
Hi, Jack. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Come on then, kiddies.
What provokes the anger?
I think the anger's triggered by literally just not getting his own way. I mean, some nights he's good, but other nights he's just completely off the rails, and he's very angry. I don't know. He just will hit and kick and punch, and he'll bite and he'll.
How do you actually respond to that? How do you react?
It hurts that I feel like I can't control him, and it makes Jack. That's really squeaky. It makes me feel that. It makes me feel that he doesn't love me.
Can I stop you right here? When you said it was really squeaky, what was you actually trying to say there?
Possibly to tell him to stop.
Possibly, or you was?
Well, I probably was trying to tell him to stop.
Is that quite common, the mixed messages of you not really directly saying what you
I would imagine it is. It's probably something that I don't actually notice in myself.
Right.
Hi, Jack.
how she communicates is a mixed message, or it's a little bit noisy, indirect, because what she doesn't want to do is actually cut through the fire, and she's going to have to pull rank here. Yeah, let's just sit up here for a minute, then I can talk to you then. Do you generally behave very well, or do you sometimes not behave very well?
I behave well in the daytime, but
Yeah.
I don't behave well in the night.
You don't behave well in the night time. Do you hit Mum?
No. Yes.
Yeah. And do you pinch and kick Mum?
Kick, but I don't pinch.
Okay. And how do you feel when you're punching and kicking Mummy?
Sad.
Why do you feel sad? Do you know why you feel sad when you're punching and you're kicking Mummy? No.
Yes, because it hurt Mummy.
You feel sad because it hurts Mummy? Right. Oh, lunch is ready. I've just been told lunch is ready.
Let's wash hands.
I actually think Jack is a very loving boy, and I would like to get to know Jack for the person that I see. I'd like to work with Mum during the day in becoming more assertive, being more direct in her communication, and certainly having a very high standard of expectations from Jack.
Jo's not only visiting families at home, she's also hitting the road, inviting mums and dads to walk in with their problems.
My big idea for the Roadshow is to give parents as much practical advice as possible. It's Jo at home on the road.
From the crowds, Jo will be taking on-the-spot questions,
Doesn't anyone being in charge of her?
Anger. Doesn't do what he's told. Yeah.
answering those persistent parenting problems head-on with some straight-talking one-on-one advice.
And you have to follow through on your consequences.
And the first problem is one that's all too common for many parents.
Oh, yeah, well, 2-year-old, and how can I stop her from swearing? She's starting to pick up a lot of swear words from everybody else outside, and how can I tell her that it's wrong without being too harsh?
Some people laugh when kids swear, okay, because they're mini little adults and then they come out with a big swear word, and the first thing to do in shock is to laugh, and then they realise they've become the local comedian, and then we realise that actually they're continuing to swear because what they want to do is continue to make us laugh, okay? At the age of 2 years old, one needs to ignore it. However, I've got to say, if you effing blinds at home, then you're going to expect your kids to do the same when they grow up, right? Lead by example. Danielle, darling, how are you?
We just wanted to know how you discipline children in public without drawing attention to yourself.
If you both know what's acceptable and unacceptable, then it's really key that whatever you're doing at home, you also do when you're outside, because guess what? The kids know it.
Yeah,
when you behave differently in public, you're just like, oh my God, I'm feeling so embarrassed. These kids are behaving this way, and everybody is looking at me, and you're like, come on, let's just go. And you have to grit your teeth because you're like, oh my God. All right, you take the child outside of the shop, and you sit down on a bench for a moment, and you say to them, right, hold on, this is what I expect. So at least you can follow through when you get back home. The adults in your life just read the book you've been reading out of. It's done now.
Many parents struggle with kids that are sore losers, but Jo's first case on the sofa is a beauty pageant boy whose reaction when he doesn't win is really extreme.
Max is a little bit spoiled. So when it comes to like competition or anything at home and he doesn't win, he has a temper.
If I lose and it's been fixed, which most time it is.
So how do you know if it's fixed?
On one of the pageants, there was one person who's absolutely terrible, and he won.
So basically what you're telling me then is, unless you win, you get nasty, and then your mum has to put up with you being a sore loser.
Yeah.
You're competitive, you want to win, you love to enter them, but if you really can't handle the fact that there are winners and losers, I really think you need to stop doing it. Because sometimes you win in life, Max, sometimes you lose. But when you come home and you take it out on your whole family, that behaviour is totally unacceptable. If your kid's a sore loser, don't let them win all the time. They learn valuable lessons from disappointment too. Let them know that you're proud of them simply for trying. And in a game, focus on how their skills are improving rather than on winning itself.
You do not hit Mummy.
Coming up, as Mum gets tough, Jack fights back. And Joe meets a superhero who's so stuck in Fantasyland that he's failing at school.
Can't read and write properly because he thinks he doesn't have to because he's a superhero and that's it.
From kids with attitudes to fussy eaters, Jo Frost has dealt with them all. But today she's responding to a parenting SOS that's unusual even for her. Meet George, a 5-year-old superhero who loves to dress up.
When he wants to fly, he does this, or this, or this.
George can get changed up to about, I would say, 10 times a day.
Whoa, hey.
He goes to the supermarket, we'll go to restaurants, he goes to the park, constantly in outfits all the time. If he could, he'd have an outfit on under his school uniform.
But George's parents are worried what started as harmless roleplay is now an extreme obsession.
Mummy, can I watch Superman?
He does actually really genuinely think he is the person and he does think he's invincible.
That's a real so Batman must be real.
So it's actually serious now. It's gone past being a little game.
If you're hurted, you have to pretend you're dead.
Past attempts to coax George out of his costumes have always failed.
His lip would go and he'd get really cross. And he'd run into his room, slam the door, and then
cry.
Start to cry.
George has retreated so far into Fantasyland, it's affecting his schoolwork.
The teacher called me in and said she was having a problem with George in class, listening, concentrating, because he just is stuck between, he doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality, and he's really behind in the class. If the basics don't click in, the reading, the writing, it could hold him back for years.
Spider-Man.
If George carried on as he was, I just don't know. I just honestly don't know where it could lead.
Hello.
Hi, George.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing, George? Nice to meet you. I'm Jo. How are you, love?
Oh, he's gone shy.
George, can you, like, what's all this over here? Like, what are these?
Suits.
These are your suits. How do you decide which one you're going to wear?
Whatever suit I wear in my head, that's the one I pick.
What's this one here?
That's a Hulk mask.
With the Hulk?
Yes.
Is this your sister?
Yes.
Hi, Maddie. Hi.
George's sister Maddie has a rare brain disorder called Rett syndrome.
Your sister, she's got a poorly brain, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know anything about that with your sister?
Yes. When I'm bigger,
Yeah.
I'm going to mend a brain.
You're going to mend a brain?
Yes.
Okay, because what's wrong with her brain?
She can't speak or walk.
Right, and does her brain stop her from doing that then?
Yes.
Right.
She used to do all them, but she can't now.
Right. So explain to me what Maddie has, what her diagnosis is, and what the effects of that diagnosis means.
Well, Maddie was diagnosed with Rett syndrome just a year ago. And the symptoms are like cerebral palsy, Parkinson's, Huntington's, that type of thing. Where it's because it's debilitating. And how Maddie is now is the best she's going to be. Maddie can't do a thing for herself. She can't pick up a bit of food anymore. She can't pick a bottle up. And sometimes it can take an hour and a half just to give Maddie one meal. Yeah. It's hard. She can't tell you that she loves you. Like George says it all the time. Maddie can't tell you that, but you can just tell.
Where's that funny facey?
Do you feel that George was impacted by how you were both feeling? Because I'm sure there were a lot of tears, a lot of like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
When somebody does die, and that's what it was like. Because Simon couldn't, at one point, he couldn't even speak to George because he was just breaking down all the time. I said to George, you know, we've had some news from the doctor. Maddie's got a poorly brain and, you know, we're going to have to all look after her together. And he just said straight away, Mummy, he says, it's nothing to worry about. He says, I'm going to fix that poorly brain. I'm a superhero. And it's from then, it's literally, the fascination and obsession's just escalated. And I think he thinks it's his duty now. It's his mission on Earth. Save the world and fix Maddie's brain. Come on.
This is certainly what I'm seeing from talking to you both. Everything's kind of gone out of line, really, and we need some alignment here. We need a routine that certainly benefits not just Maddie, but George and Maddie.
Because our lives are just kind of chaotic at the minute, aren't they?
There's no organisation.
They're certainly aware that it's been easier to let him kind of go off and play with his superheroes. I certainly would like to find more balance during the day for Mum, managing both children, so she can concentrate with George doing the things that would allow him to be more focused and concentrated at school.
With over 3/4 of mums and dads admitting they find their job tougher than they'd expected, Jo's tackling Britain's top parenting problems. And one of the hardest things for parents to deal with is childhood phobias.
She's frightened of dogs and animals.
We just want to avoid going to certain places that we know balloons are going to be.
Mum Nikki and Dad Alan are worried about their daughter's reaction to people wearing masks.
Why does it make you frightened? What is it? What is it that you don't like? What, when their face is covered?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
You know, we can't sort of do things that other families do, you know, like take the children to somewhere where a character's going to be. It's almost like she just runs. She wouldn't care who's around her. She's like unaware. In the lift, down, across the road, she just run.
And when she runs, you need to reassure her. And the only way you're going to reassure her is just being firmer in your tone. It's not telling her off, okay? It's showing her that you understand. But if she goes to run, you say to her, no, we're not running off. And we're going to stay here because that's a person dressed up. So when you're going to Christmas parties or birthday parties, she says, are there going to be characters there? I don't know. But if there are going to be characters there, we just won't go near them, okay? So that she understands that it's not that you're not going to go to the birthday party. It's not that you're not going to go to the big adventure park.
I sort of tried lots of tactics, but I think I need to be firm.
It's a confidence. It's a confident, firm voice.
Thank you.
Take care, love.
Thank you.
When your child shows that they're having difficulty with larger-than-life characters, you don't back down. What you do is reassure, otherwise you're confirming that there is something to be scared of. So what's Mummy's question?
My question is, obviously Emily's 7, coming up to 8 soon, and she was always a very polite little girl, I knew, and she's coming to her year 3, and she's a bit confused about whether she should have an attitude and be able to stick up for herself, and she's starting to try and nod her head and answer back because she's got some difficult children in her class. She doesn't mean it, but she says, well, I have to because I'm going to get bullied, so I have to be in with those children and I have to learn to be with attitude, and I don't know what to say.
What you clearly need to do with your little one here is you don't follow a pack. Okay, you don't follow a set of girls that behave a certain way to be in.
But she can't stop herself now. She's nodding the head.
No, that's attitude with you. She can stop it. No, she can stop it. She learns it, and she can undo it. It's because it's accepted. Right. Okay. The good thing is she's talking to you out of all of this about it, and that's what you want to keep going. Okay. Okay. And do it. Do it. Thank you.
All kids face peer pressure at some time in their childhood, so encourage them to act confidently even if they don't feel it. Expand their friends by getting them to join new clubs or sports, and keep talking, sharing their worries will relieve the anxiety.
Jo's in North London, helping a mum who's being terrorised at bedtime by her violent 6-year-old son, Jack. Jo suspects that a lack of discipline during the day is linked to his behaviour at night.
From watching you, it's very clear that there needs to be boundaries and rules set in place so that he'll even listen to you of a night time. You're indirect with your conversation. It's like you scurry around him rather than actually ask him to do what you want him to do.
When you put it how you put it now, I can understand why nighttime isn't working if there's no control over daytime. I understand that.
And right on cue, Jack gives Mum her first test.
Jack, you need to get down, darling, off of the fence because it's dangerous. Jack, I want you to get down off of the fence for Mummy, please.
Okay, that wasn't your warning though, was it?
Jack.
If he doesn't believe that you're capable of following through and giving him a timeout, he's just going to walk over you. You're just going to be a pushover.
Jack, you need to get down. Last time I will have to put you on the step.
How many warnings was that?
Normally 3. Jack. This is where I really struggle with it. Right. Jack. Please, in, time out. Good boy. In.
Oh, Mick, go.
Right, I'm putting you here, Jack. I'm putting you here. I'm putting you here because you have not listened.
Is that
to
okay?
Mummy. That hurt.
Is that okay?
No, that hurt.
Is that okay? For you to headbutt your mother? I suggest you apologise right now. Because I'm telling you now, Jack, do not push it. Are you going to get tough? Are you going to let him do this to you?
I have to be strong.
When he starts to get funny with you, you're going to hold him here. Hold him. Hold him. You see that? You're going to hold him. Okay? He's a 6-year-old little boy. By the time he's 7 years old, he'll be pushing you into your own kitchen, telling you to stay in there. By the time he's 13, guess what he'll be doing? You will not tolerate being treated like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right, get up there and take charge. There's no shortcuts. You've just got to go through the eye of the storm.
Not hit Mummy.
This is a boy that kicks punches. I mean, of course he was going to headbutt. It's disgraceful. This is how extreme it gets when you don't put in boundaries and rules and consequences and follow through. This is how extreme it can get. It's like a war zone every 10 minutes.
Joe needs Nikki to use timeout correctly. Jack must sit on the stairs without leaving for 6 minutes, 1 minute for each year of his life. Every time he gets up before completing timeout, Nikki needs to return him to the stairs and reset the timer.
This is the bit now where you show the child, no, I mean what I say. I've said sit down, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to do your timeout because I'm in charge here. Which every time she puts him back, she's confirming that she means what she says.
You're in timeout, Jack. I'm so tired.
I know you're tired, but well done. This is what you need to do.
Okay.
All right? You need to be able to hold your ground.
Okay.
An hour and a half later, Jack finally completes his 6 minutes of timeout and apologises.
Okay, can you say it properly to me?
Having made good progress throughout the day, Nikki now needs to cope at bedtime, a time she dreads.
Here, we need to dry your hair, Viv. Go in there and get dry.
So what I am keen to do is to leave very soon because I don't want to influence how the nighttime goes. I want Mum to deal with it like she normally would so that I can take a look at it tomorrow with her and start to unpick and untangle so that I can help her put things on track properly.
Coming up, Jack takes on Joe.
Tomorrow, you're going to lose the lot.
And Joe takes to the streets.
What do you think this actual video is about, though?
Child abuse.
Do you think it's about child abuse?
Yeah. Neglect.
Hey, Mummy, wake up.
5-year-old George's superhero obsession has meant that he's been falling behind at school. Joe believes it's been easier to allow George to retreat into his fantasy world.
Mummy, can I watch Superman?
As disabled sister Maddie takes up so much of his parents' time. Joe wants to look at the family's daily routine to see if precious time could be saved for George.
Lay out uniform and lay out Maddie's clothes, which is wonderful. That's 40 minutes gone off your morning routine already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Overwhelmed with Maddie's needs, Kelly struggles to see how a routine would work.
Obviously, this isn't going to work. It's not going to just fall into place straight away because Maddie is going to... It's her sleeping thing.
No, you're going to create a sleeping thing.
I think we
once
can.
she falls into that, a better
I think
sleeping
you'll
pattern.
think that we can't because she's
Because
mentally.
of the Rett syndrome.
So you just let Maddie do what she wants.
What did you do with George when he was 12 months?
Yeah, I know I did. I had a routine for him.
Correct.
Joe also has an idea to encourage George to spend less time as a superhero.
Whoa, what's been going on here?
OK, so I have placed in your living room a superhero clock.
Whoa.
All right. The clock is going to give you the times of when he's in his superhero costumes and when he's not. OK, so an hour he can be in his costume, and then after the hour, he goes back to being in his normal clothes, right? We are going to put zap, pow, bam in the places where we want him to be in his costume. All right?
It should be fun.
And the design of this clock is a focus for everyone to go, this is when it happens.
Yeah. I can feel a presence as we speak.
Yeah. Tell him why the clock's important. What's the clock going to do?
Right, George.
Right, short, sweet, to the point.
You see, George, this clock is going to help you to learn that you can't wear your outfits all the time. Can you see that? That says bam. You've got to keep your costume off until then. Is that all right?
You've got to wear normal clothes for an hour.
You've got to share now between normal clothes and your outfits. There you go.
Is that all right?
Attempts to prise George out of his beloved superhero costumes usually lead to tears and tantrums. Letting George see when he can change back into his costumes will be key to weaning him back into normal clothes.
This now is a focus on him recognising, look, this is when you can and when this is when you can't. You just need to be tough enough to uphold that.
Stick to it.
I'm going to.
It's a tense wait to see if, for once, George will get changed without a fuss.
Whoa, look at that. How does that feel?
So you can wear normal clothes, can't you? And you look really smart, you know.
You do, yeah.
You do, you look very smart, darling. Well done.
I'm not surprised that he took to the clock very easily because he totally understands what's expected of him and he wants to be able to meet that and please. And when he started to create and kick off beforehand about not being able to stay in his costume, that's when his parents should have stayed put. But with all the emotional trauma with his sister, it became increasingly hard for Mum to stick with it.
Jo believes that mums and dads are in denial about the amount of time they spend with their kids. She wants parents and kids really interacting with each other, not just hanging out in the same room watching TV. To get parents to wake up to the problem, Jo's taken to the streets with a fake charity appeal.
What do you think this actual video is about, though?
Child abuse.
Do you think it's about child abuse?
It's neglect.
It's neglect. What would you think if I told you that 49 minutes was the average time that children in Great Britain spend doing things with their parents, being interactive?
It's quite shocking that we don't spend enough time with our children.
49 minutes is next to no time at all.
They're shocking because it obviously means that children are missing out, but they don't surprise me.
Can I ask how many of you feel that you spend more than 49 minutes a day with your kids? Yeah. You feel you do? You feel you do?
Yeah, definitely.
Give me the real reason why you think everyone goes, it's not me, that's someone else.
To think that they're a bad parent or that they're not doing it. Everyone will say, I don't do that, I spend plenty of time with my children. But if you ask the children, they might not have the same response.
Jo wants to show parents key parts of the day when they can reclaim valuable time with their kids, such as mealtimes. So Jo's in North London to see how lunchtimes have changed for typical primary school kids.
Just take a look at this. Most of the forks are gone, but all of the knives are still here.
Headmistress Angela Holder has witnessed school lunchtimes for over 30 years.
We've seen a decline in the ability of the children to use knives and forks. When you've got children at home who are maybe sent to sit and eat in front of the TV, I don't think that they get that role modelling and I don't think they understand quite what it's like. And I wonder if parents really know that that's happening.
With 75% of kids eating in front of the TV and 25% eating in their rooms, kids are not only lacking basic table manners, they're missing out on quality time with their parents too. So Jo's decided to bust in on families at mealtimes to encourage parents to make changes.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Do you know who I am? Hi, how are you?
All right, thank you.
Hi. Grubs up, time for dinner, eh? Is this where you eat your dinner normally?
It is, yeah.
Do you sit down and eat with them?
My dinner's out the kitchen for later.
Will you take part in an experiment with regards to how families come together and eat?
Yeah, that's fine.
If you would, I would really love you to be a part of that experiment.
We'd love to do
Okay, thank you very much.
On night one, Jo wants the families to eat as normal, with the TV on. Night two, the TV goes off and the family must come together to share the meal. And both nights, cameras capture every move. Psychologist Dr. Claire Farrow will analyse the children's behaviour across both nights.
Why is it important for families to come together at meal times?
There's quite a body of knowledge now in academia that suggests that children who eat with their families regularly are less likely as adolescents to smoke, less likely to drink alcohol, less likely to abuse drugs, less likely to have underage sex, less likely to eat high-fat foods, and they even have better vocabularies.
Hi there.
The families have been invited to see how the children behaved at both meals.
So Claire, let's take a look at this video, the first one here.
Straight away you can see he gets this piece of broccoli and she puts it all in, but it's too big for him to chew, so he actually has to take it out and then break it down. Okay, so he's eating a very, very large mouthfuls. Immediately the children start eating with their fingers, but you can see how engaged they are with the TV in terms of their eye contact, that they're really quite absorbed by it. They are talking to you, but they're looking at the TV, so not sort of fully engaged with you. He starts eating with his fingers, and throughout the meal, at this point, it seems as if he's actually possibly had enough to eat. But because he hasn't got anyone in the room with him to say, you know, have you finished? He's bored of the meal because he's, probably bored.
I'm surprised at myself when I watched that back.
Let's take a look at the difference with you being at the dining table now.
You see Harvey there using his knife and fork. So he goes there to put the whole broccoli in his mouth like he did at the table, but you're able to say, you know, use your knife, and he actually chops it up.
I'm use your knife, please, Harvey.
But it's like a different child, really, the way he is at the table.
Jo wants to show the parents that it's not just about eating together at the table. It's about actually giving your full attention and having your kids engage in conversation.
The girls ask if they can start eating, so see the difference in sort of their manners and their etiquette.
What are we doing tomorrow then? What did Grandad say we're doing tomorrow?
Straight away a conversation into what we're doing tomorrow.
What's your film?
And you don't notice how they are with the telly when you're there. It's when you're sort of looking at it, you know, you don't realise they are engrossed with it.
They don't actually get an opportunity to sit and talk.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be quite nice.
Yeah.
While many parents don't spend enough time with their children, in North London, mum Nikki spends hours each night putting her violent 6-year-old son to bed. Last night, Jo left Nikki to deal with bedtime on her own. Today, she's keen to see how well mum coped.
I was curious how putting Jack to bed would be, and was able to get my team to put this together so we could take a look at it.
Phoebe! No, I want you to lie down in your bed. Do not hit me or Phoebe with that slipper. Now, that is it. You sit here, Jack. You are in timeout because you do not smack either of us. It is not acceptable.
Timeout.
Sit down.
Timeout downstairs.
So no timeouts.
No time at bedtime.
No times at bedtime because they use it as an excuse to get out of the bedroom and then sit on that step.
Yeah.
If I can
Which
misbehave.
is what he said to me.
It is Phoebe's bedtime. Go in your bedroom, please. In your bedroom, please.
Why did he continue to come in 2, 3 and 4 times?
Because I wasn't firm enough with him to...
No, your voice was firm. Your voice was firm.
I don't know then.
Because you didn't give him a warning. I've told you, in your room, otherwise you are going to lose privilege tomorrow of going out. Final. Get in your room. And Phoebe will be out. And he'll be watching Phoebe, have fun, and he'll be in.
Okay. It's so much to take in. It's unbelievable. The children.
You're doing it.
Last night, with Nikki being more authoritative, she had Jack asleep at 10 o'clock, much earlier than normal. Tonight, Jo wants him asleep even earlier. But first, she wants to show Nikki time with Jack doesn't always have to be a battle.
I'm happy with the progress that she's made. She certainly has more confidence in her than what she did yesterday, that's for sure. But she's out here having fun with the kids. She's very anxious about bedtime, but she sounded very confident with what she was absorbing when we sat down and we watched some video footage today. So I'm going to just let her roll and get into that position of bedtime routine and let's see how it goes, really.
Time to go, Jack.
While Jack's now responding well to discipline during the day, the real test will be whether Nikki can show Jack she's also in charge at night. It's 7:30. Bedtime. But 40 minutes later, Jack's still refusing to stay in his room.
It is bedtime. You need to go in your bed. You need to lie down, because otherwise you will lose your bike tomorrow.
When you give him his warning, be detailed with what's going to happen. Let him know what his warning's for. Losing your bike means I can go on my scooter, it means I can go out on the trampoline.
Jack, you have to go up to bed and you will lose time outside tomorrow. You will have nothing. No TV. You will not have TV. You will not have your DS. Phoebe will go outside and you will stay inside and you will sit on the settee and you will do nothing. Go to bed and go to sleep.
No. Tomorrow, he's going to lose the lot.
Right.
Realising that he's lost control of bedtime, Jack resorts to being violent with both Mum and Joe.
Go to bed, Jack. Do not.
No. Not that.
He has a choice to listen. He does as he's told, or there are consequences. So tomorrow, you're following through. Tomorrow he has nothing in the morning. Nothing.
In the morning,
Nothing.
in the afternoon, you'll get it all back.
Jack,
nothing.
Unless you go and get in your bed now and you go to sleep, you will have nothing all day. Go to bed.
Desperate to regain control, Jack tries one last show of defiance to get Mum's attention.
He's throwing stuff down the stairs now.
Well, you can say that. All he's doing is testing.
In the past, it's taken Nikki until 1 a.m. to get Jack to sleep. But unable to provoke his mum, Jack finally gives up and gets into bed. It's 9 o'clock. And just 20 minutes later, he's fast asleep.
So very much. You're more than welcome.
Joe will return again next week. But all of Nikki's hard work disciplining Jack tonight could be in vain if she doesn't follow through with his punishment tomorrow. Coming up, in the nighttime battle, it was first round to Mum, but will Jack stage a comeback?
I think I will say sorry.
And on the road, an unusual case looking for Joe's help.
And then I noticed that she hadn't got her eyelashes.
Jo Frost is taking her advice to everyone with her first ever roadshow to help Britain's mums and dads.
Hello.
Time and time again, one of the biggest challenges parents bring to Jo is sleep problems.
Who's this little one here?
Aman.
Aman, hi Aman. Have you got a question for me?
We just cannot get him to sleep in his room. He doesn't sleep through the night. Still, he's 2.5 now.
Is he sleeping in the afternoon?
I've cut down his naps now. I've tried to cut them out completely.
Okay, I don't want you to. It's really important for you that you create a bedtime ritual. You've got to wind down his mind. You've got to make his brain not so active. You've got to get his muscles relaxing. You've got to get yourself into a place of relaxing mode. Make sure you do it at lunchtime so that he's going to have an hour and a half's nap so that then he will look forward to having his sleep of a night time. So you've got to create the daytime pattern first so that then you can implement that of a night time, okay?
Stop. He just doesn't want to sleep.
The thing is, he needs it. He needs it, and he's fighting it. He's fighting you with it, but you know that as a parent, you've got to teach him, you've got to train him, but he needs it, you know?
A common concern at the roadshows is how to tackle kids' bad habits.
Let's get straight to the point, shall we? I'm looking at these images here, and I'm looking at the front of her eye, and I see that she's been pulling her eyelashes out.
Well, I first noticed it in December.
Right, okay.
So I just thought she looked a bit strange, and then I noticed that it was that she hadn't got her eyelashes, so...
Yeah. Has she shown any other, like, does she pull her hair, or, you know, before, or putting her eyelashes, or was there any kind of obstinate behaviour where maybe she didn't want to do anything, you know?
She's always like that, yeah, she's very obstinate.
She's quite particular about her clothes, and sometimes we'd get her dressed and she'd just take everything off again. Sometimes if you sit her down to dinner and she said, oh, I don't want that, she'd be quite happy to go without any dinner.
Has there ever been a time in your mind when you've sat and thought, hold on a minute, so it was that last week, and then it was this month,
yes,
and then it was that...
Get over one thing, it's something else.
Yeah. This is what I'm seeing, is a pattern. If she doesn't want to go to school, then she doesn't want to put her clothes on. If she doesn't want to go to the table, then she doesn't eat. If I'm not going to do this, then I'll do that. I know that children can be incredibly manipulative. If you focus on the eyelash, she knows that that's where she can push your button.
So how do you deal with it? Do you ignore it? Or...
Yes. Yes.
What, completely?
Yeah. Yes. Because at the end of the day, she pulls them out, they grow back again. Okay? But if she knows every time she pulls her eyelashes out, it gets a certain kind of behaviour from you both, guess what? I can manipulate the situation again to doing what I want when I want, but you can easily put it right. Don't give the attention for the eyelashes, and know when you're getting manipulation and obstinate behaviour, because that's when, as parents, you do need to be in control. Does that make sense to you both?
Yes.
If you suspect your child is trying to get your attention by behaving badly, don't focus solely on their actions. Talk to them to understand why they're doing it, and encourage good behaviour by praising the things they do right.
You do not.
Across Britain, Joe's been helping parents resolve their problems, and Nikki in North London has been facing a tougher challenge than most. Last night, Jack misbehaved, and Nikki made it clear she wouldn't tolerate his defiance.
Unless you go and get in your bed now, you will have nothing all day. Go to bed.
But today, the real test will be whether Nikki holds firm and stops Jack from going outside.
If you go out there, Jack, I'm warning you, if you go out there, you will lose your outside time this afternoon as well.
Jack's not used to being disciplined, and over lunch, tests Mum's authority.
Mummy, I can't cut it. What do you think I would say? Sorry. No, I don't want my dinner to get gone. No, sorry.
No, I've put you.
No.
I have put you here because you are rude to Mummy, and you do not. You're not having it, Jack. You are not rude to Mummy.
No.
Nikki's shown Jack she means business by keeping him indoors all morning, and after completing time out, he's allowed to join Phoebe outside.
I was worried that it was going to be tough and that he wasn't going to listen to me, but fingers crossed he seems to be at the moment, and hopefully the daytime bit will run into nighttime. We'll see.
Kelly and Simon have also been living under Joe's regime. When she left 5-year-old George, she'd coaxed him out of his superhero world. But has he been encouraged to keep it up?
George, it's time for that costume to come off.
There's been a few occasions where the pet lip has started and the tears have sort of filled up in his eyes, and I've just said, come on, we'll go and buy this superhero clock now. After breakfast at 9 o'clock, you can put another outfit on. And you know, he just came round without a fuss. How does that sound to you?
Really, 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 really good.
Oh, get in. Well done.
Sticking to Joe's daily routine has been a struggle, but as the days go by, things are improving.
It was easier for me to let George put an outfit on because it kept him quiet and I could deal with Maddie. But at the end of the day, you know, I've got to deal with George as well.
With the routine slowly falling into place, Kelly's finding more time in the day to help George with his schoolwork.
Just do a little bit of, you know, reading, spelling, counting. Right, excellent. So put that in there. 3 plus 3.
That's easy.
What?
4.
No.
Can't say for certain what the future brings, but hopefully Joe's methods work. I'm sure they will.
Another 6.
It's all different ways of making 6.
Never in my wildest dreams think we could have got George out of his costumes and us getting to a bit of a routine in his lives, because everything was just wayward. So yeah, thank you to Joe.
Joe's back in North London to find out whether Nikki's managed to control Jack's aggressive behaviour and get him into bed on time.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, actually.
It has been great. I've been lost with my evenings because he's been asleep by about 8:30, 8:45 every night. No questions, nothing.
What do you mean when you say that you're lost in the evening?
Because obviously my evenings were so taken up with trying to get...
Oh, you mean because you've got free time?
I've got free time, yeah.
Just so pleased for you.
They are so
my
different.
God. Yeah, they're different because you are. I'm so happy for you.
Disciplining Jack by actually following through on her warnings throughout the day and night seems to have paid off for Nikki.
Why do you think you have no problems with him now during the night time?
Because I think it's a lot calmer during the day, and I'm a lot calmer. He knows what I say goes.
And that's why it was important for me to work with you during the day.
Yeah.
It's bedtime, and Joe wants to witness how Nikki deals with Jack for herself. The last time she saw him put to bed, he kicked screamed and scratched.
Come here and say goodnight and say thank you to Joe for helping us, please.
Thank you, Joe, for
Come here, please.
Thank you for helping me, Joe.
You're welcome, darling. Good night. Good night, love. I know you don't want kisses. Good night. It's much better. Good night, isn't it?
After Jack's bedtime story, it's lights out. And just 10 minutes later, a much happier 6-year-old boy is asleep.
Lovely. Right, keep up the hard work, okay?
Thank you very much.
Keep what you're more than welcome. Bye, bye.
It's been wonderful to come back today and just see Jack be the way that he is, and to watch Mum so much more confident, just like, you know, really stepped up since I've left. And there's so much more peace in the house, and there's a lot more laughter, and everybody's happier and more content.
Next week, Joe tackles a boy who can't stomach anything but custard creams.
Max has never had a hot meal. He's 9 years old.
Helps a young girl whose anger is threatening her whole family.
Die!
And shows how 10 minutes can make all the difference.
Hands up who read to their kids last night. Blimey.